Okay, I thought I would take a break from doing rather tough, complicated things to, a sort of meme stream about anime tags. Fight me, bro. We'll see how that all turns out in the end. And I am hearing an echo, so that is gone now. And let's get this party started. So. We'll see how this particular thing goes. Not quite sure where to start with. Something popped up in my feed. Controversial reaction to solo leveling. Let me give a little bit of that to start, just as uh,
I do
I,
think that it's cool that Jinwoo's voice gets deeper as the story progresses and he gets like all hunky and stuff. I really love that.
very nice to get a woman's perspective on solo leveling.
Nice for me to watch because he's a handsome man. And there are just continue to be more conflicts that are kind of more political. I can't bring myself to care about, if I'm being honest, because I want to know the answers to like where these portals came from. Why was he chosen? Like, what does all of that mean? I just would have liked a little more explanation in that way.
42. The answer is always 42. The reason for life, all the answers of the universe is 42. God, she really expecting that much. Fair enough, fair enough. She can put it out.
Oh,
But
another thing is
controversial,
like Jinwoo
remember.
goes into the dungeon with the Nepo baby. I'm sorry, his name has lost my mind. But the Nepo baby, I'm just gonna go with
Yes,
that
fair
because
enough.
like I think it's kind of
He
funny.
has a
I
name.
do like how they teamed up though. I'm gonna be honest. I think that is a fun plot point. Very cool. And I also like that he calls him boss. I just imagine him going like, because I listen to the Japanese and then the English subtitles, but I just imagine him going, boss. Yeah, that's that's right, boss.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Fun enough. Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was a little silly. Okay, so they went into the dungeon with these, it turns out that they have to like kill all of these people that were on the same team as them. That made me a little sad. I didn't really love that as a plot point. It would have been cool for them to be able to like work together or something, but obviously you can't trust them. I know that it's a lot more nuanced than that, but just killing them needlessly kind of felt harsh. There wasn't enough character development to make me hate them enough for all of them to be killed. I understand that they left them for dead. I get that, and that's messed up. Just don't really see.
Okay, I'm trying to understand where she's coming from with this. Okay. It's very interesting. I watch solo leveling. I have my own particular issues. None of them are these, okay? Having throwaway villains, yeah, it can get annoying, and solo leveling probably throws too many of them at that. Oh, you have a whole bunch of mess in the pan.
See why that was necessary. When they came out of the portal, they were quite casual about these hunters dying. They were just like, oh, well, what happens in the portals, like stays in the portals, I guess. Is this Vegas?
Obvious joke there. I at least commend her for that.
I mean, even in Vegas, you can't kill people. Like, I thought that was interesting that there isn't any kind of like policing these portals. And what's keeping anyone from like doing like drugs in there? Moving on.
Okay, I can't take this seriously. I have to move on myself, okay? Want to look at this small channel, smaller than me, but probably gonna encompass me in many days. I guess cute girl talking about anime. Gonna work out, I hope the best for her, so let me not pick on her too much. Definitely has some decent engagement. Let's start with let's get
Toby,
into
why aren't
the
you eating
more,
your Cinnabon pull apart?
Let's not punch down and go with the poor innocent girl there. Okay. Just wanted to start off with a teaser. And of course, I want to talk about You Just Don't Understand Eva. I once did a video on Scambali reviews that wasn't reviewed very well, probably because I took his same sort of snarky attitude in my particular video. But, and I made reference to this particular video, but we will see what I think Got any takes? Eva is a very contentious one, so can't understand. Title's a bit
Like you have to
clickbait
watch.
here. So we're gonna see what I think and what sort of commentary I can pull out of my ass on this.
Every day was shit, piss, and cum in my shorts, and yet I was angry that my
Great
time was
start.
wasted. Valuable shit, piss, and cum time that I'll never get back. My anger at the show has slowly shifted to the fart-sniffing elitists and the wine-sipping redditors that allowed Eva to give off that impression. I'm Scamboli, and today I'll be talking about how Neon Genesis Evangelion can objectively suck my nickels. At least in my opinion. You're free to think whatever you want. If you haven't seen it, consider not watching this video. Not because of spoilers or anything, but it'll just be extremely boring if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway. Our star is Shinji Ikari, a 14-year-old League player who's forced to pilot mechs in order to defeat the Angels, giant beings from outer space, which are actually derived from Adam, the being responsible for the second impact. You see, Adam came from the White Moon, so obviously Lilith, Adam's sibling, came from the Black Moon. Anyway, the only time we see Lilith is underground, pierced by the Spear of Longinus. But the Spear of Longinus is bad. Shinji's dad wants to get rid of the Spear of Longinus.
Got a comment about him being black, so he can make these jokes. I was saying it as a joke.
When watching the show felt like because they don't even attack.
Mainly the joke was because when I freaking typed up Scambelli reviews in Google, it came up racist. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this as a joke, and I got some pushback.
Between episodes 1 through 24, it's only mentioned 5 times, and we're told on episode 21 that it's meant to harness the power of God, which doesn't even scratch the surface of what it actually does. How about the lance of laryngitis? It's mentioned once on episode 12, and you see Ray doing something with it. So you think, wonder what that thing does. And it isn't talked about until episode 22. And for all that weight, this is what we learn. Seal wants it, Ikari wants it gone, it destroys AP fields, and it's hinted at sealing away Lilith. So they hype it up to be this crazy device that'll change everything, and we discover nothing about it. Why does Seal want it? Where does it come from? You get interested in little concepts like the Instrumentality Project or the Angels just to get absolutely dirty necked by the writers because these mysteries end up going nowhere. It just becomes this convoluted mess with a ton of questions and no answers. Want to know about the Dead Sea Scrolls? Oh, they only mention it 4 times in the show. Want to know what the Black Egg is? Want to know why the Angels are attacking? Want to know what the first impact was? You see.
Questions. Why can't anyone just go with the flow and, fill in the plots for some of these already out there, crazy shit out there with the symbology? And it's very fine. Let me know if I have any issues you want to correct. Right now, Scamboli reviews. You just don't understand Eva. And now I remember why I did this in video form. You can only sort of laugh at this, okay? You can't seriously engage with a Scamboli. Well, there is a certain amount of criticism you can find in the humor there. But yeah, let me know if my takes are just so hot or if you need to respond to the video, anyone in chat or watching along.
Where this is going. Oh, but you can find that information online, just not in the main series. You see, Adam was created by the first ancestral race, an extremely advanced alien civilization that's responsible for the ancestral race actually originate from Adam was sent to Earth within the White Moon to fill the role of Lilith arrived on Earth accidentally while within Lilith actually function as both an egg and a transportation device for this is where the Dead Sea Scrolls come in. Rather than being a prophecy, it's actually...
I wonder if this guy's an atheist or skeptic of some type. Yeah, I'm sort of that type of person also, but I don't question the very core, the very being of it. But I, of course, was raised Catholic, so, the symbology. And this just some people just don't understand symbology or don't like it in their film.
An instruction manual made by the first Spear of Longinus is designed to render one of the seeds of life inactive in the event that this causes Lilith in turn to release her offspring. Appears as a giant being of light is because he lost control of his S2 engine. Now, if you wanted to get those answers organically, you'd have to watch 6 more movies and sift through the 22 games if you really want to get a good grasp on the story. Minigame, to stop the fucking video from getting boring.
Oh, yeah. Stop it from getting boring. Good minigame, because you realize how boring this is. Whole bunch of jokes all around and pop around. I mean, I don't even know why I'm engaged with this. Some people just take his sort of critiques as it takes his content seriously, and I do not seriously understand.
But a good mystery creates questions that the audience wants answered and then answers them. It even makes you wonder, what's up with the Angels? What are the Dead Sea Scrolls? So you keep watching. Maybe this is so popular because the reveal is really cool. And then the reveal never happens. You waste your time. It really alienates the audience from the jump when you toss around all these terms and organizations without even bothering to explain them. Just watch the movies, Scam. I'll just watch the movies. I'd rather deep throat a tactical insertion than waste even another second.
Yeah, raised Catholic, so... a certain perspective, I can understand why some people would not sort of take that off.
Like in researching the Eva lore. First off, I'm not that interested anymore. And second, the show is hard to watch because every episode of...
I mean, I can see some meta commentary in here. He's trying to keep it fresh and light, but he's very repetitive himself. And I don't even know what he's saying about repetitive. Please explain.
Until 14 follows the same exact formula. It starts off with either Shinji having daddy issues or the gang is going through some filler. Then midway through, an angel attacks, and usually it'll look like Team Shinji is winning. And suddenly, direct power to right thrust. Ma'am, the boosters have been disabled. You get a little montage of some League of Legends players spamming racial slurs in chat, and now they can't beat the angel. They spend 15 minutes planning how to kill it. You'll get some occasional dialogue like, don't fret, this is all foretold in the PP poo-poo complex, to make you feel like the plot is moving, and then wowie zowie, the new plan works perfectly the first time we tried it. You can tweak the formula a little bit. For example, episode 7. Everyone's talking at a conference for 10 minutes about this robot. Everything's going great. And, sir, our Garen is feeding kills down bot lane. Impossible. Try calling him a...
Okay, I can't do it. I can't do it. I would have to just make fun of him the whole time. This is why my video was just sort of mocking him in the same sort of tone. This is all I can do with this. It's a good attempt. It's a good attempt. You just don't understand Ava. And this video would not teach you anything about Ava. So let's get into this. This guy actually communicated with me on my post. So this is definitely, he says this isn't a meme. Let me try to take this super seriously. Okay. With this SpongeBob opening, I sort of shooting himself in the foot if he wants people to take this video anyway seriously with this opening here. Oh, this is an old time, thing on my shit list. Guts is a terrible protagonist. Okay, it's just something that's been on like back in my anime days. Something that I thought I might try to respond to, but too much of a meme, too jokey. It's like this sort of debate if you look further, but you know, I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. Let's take it seriously. Since he messaged me. That isn't a meme video. Let's just try.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Berserk is overrated.
Actually, I think Smut Boy covered this video at some point. On Smutcast.
I know most of you are already pissed off from the title alone, and I know you're already disliking the video and maybe even considering typing a comment about how much of an idiot I am, and that's okay. You're free to do so.
You're an idiot for different reasons, but sure.
I'm already absolutely floored by the title and actually want to hear me out on what I have to say. Buckle up.
I'll hear you out, man.
This is going to be a long and strenuous conversation about what it means to be a protagonist.
Yeah.
Guts fails.
I think he needs to look up the definition of conversation. You sort of need to have two people for a conversation. This is monologuing. This is pure and utter monologue.
That doing so at almost every level for the story of Berserk. I will try to be as objective as possible, but understand that at the end of the day, there has to be some sort of subjectivity applied to this conversation. I can't control what you like or don't like, and you can't control what I like or don't like. And I've made it very clear for a long time that I do not like Guts. That said, even though I don't personally like him, I would have never been able to say with utmost confidence that he is a terrible protagonist in every sense of the word until reading chapter 190. Chapter 190 ruins Guts on such a fundamental level that I truly believe that it must have been a mistake on Murray.
He doesn't. It doesn't.
Past, every writer does. But I never thought it was too much to the point where it destroys anything vital in his story. I'd never seen him do something so irrational in his writing before.
Yeah, okay. Irrational writing, blah, blah, blah.
Namely, Isayama for the way he treated his characters in the story in Attack on Titan. There's no way I could keep my mouth shut about this. That would just make me into a hypocrite, which is something I just don't want to be. I love Berserk. I think it is a solid piece of art.
See, I see what this is already. He loves it. He's trying to be objective, but the subjective nature, it's all about his personal feelings around here. Okay, so keep this in mind. He thinks Guts is a terrible protagonist, but he's droning on. Preface it. Maybe a little bit of poison in the well in the beginning, you know. He states in the beginning before you get into anything. This is the chapter. This is the chapter that just destroys him.
But it has some flaws, some minor, some major, but most of them, in my opinion, are connected to this one core issue. Guts is a terrible protagonist.
Come on.
First, let's figure out if Guts is a protagonist at all, right? Because I'm sure some people out there are saying he isn't the protagonist, trying to be super clever or whatever. But
yeah, why even engage with those sort of people? Okay, clearly he is the main character of the series. The series follows him. Why even argue? So you're giving the definition of protagonist.
I'm pretty sure he is. So let's just look at the definition. So the definition of protagonist is the leading character or one of the major characters in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text.
I wonder if he's going to look up the definition of terrible next. Okay. You know, you have the protagonist. What about Berserk?
Sure. He's certainly the protagonist of Berserk. We can all agree on that, right? Right. So we've established what a protagonist is. Now, what makes a good protagonist? Again, this is subjective. The word good alone can change meaning from person to person. So all we can do at that point is try to figure out what makes a protagonist good to most people. I won't discuss the altruistic hero type.
To most people. Who are most people? Are they your friends? Are they the general population of Detroit, the US, Canada, Europe?
Like protagonists like Superman and Goku, because frankly, they're very one-dimensional for the most part. While they are great protagonists, they aren't great characters. And in my opinion, being a great character should come first. Now, Guts is a great character.
Oh, he's gonna throw a sly hit into a DBZ, I'm guessing. Maybe Dragon Ball as a whole. I can agree they're very simplistic, but simplistic characters don't make them bad characters, okay? You had a freaking whole room of mentally challenged people. You can make something decent with it. Okay. The characterization. Is this guy not a man? Not realize the bond, or at least the idealized version that men learn through combat. This is the main core of Dragon Ball Z. And if you go back to Dragon Ball, sometimes men relate to women by, pervy shit. But that's a totally different issue.
Character. Absolutely. I want to make that clear. He is complex, hypocritical, self-actualized, and he develops and learns from his mistakes. He is a good character in my
Did he just throw the word hypocritical in there? Hypocritical
opinion, at least in terms of writing. But in terms of being a protagonist, well, there's more to it than that. In my opinion, a good protagonist is a protagonist that encompasses the themes of the story. A good protagonist either uses the themes of the story to succeed or goes against the themes of the story and fails. Berserk is very much a story that is about survival through failure and learning from mistakes. But there's another theme about Berserk that Guts doesn't seem to hit, and that theme is the...
Okay, so he's interpreting the themes of Berserk. Survival. I always hate these sort of these sort of these weird pseudo arguments about themes. There is many different sort of themes. It's sort of hard to figure out what the theme of something is. Oh, by the way, he didn't give the definition of terrible. So I'll let him play and I'll look it up.
That our actions do onto others. This theme is prevalent throughout the entire story of Berserk, especially in the introduction of Guts' backstory with Gambino. Every single character in Berserk is impacted by the trauma another character inflicted onto them, except Puck. I made a video when I first started reading Berserk around the Golden Age, and I said that I wanted Griffith to be...
okay. You found more complexity. Well, maybe I should let him speak for himself. Terrible. Extreme or distressingly bad or serious? I didn't know. It was serious? Terrible? Okay. Maybe terrible isn't the wrong word, okay? But to say bad, he's saying good, bad, all subjective stuff.
The main protagonist of the story instead of Guts. I said that because Griffith was way more interesting to me. He had an actual goal in mind. He had desires that he followed, and he just seemed a lot more interesting to me than Guts did. But that was before he did what he did during the eclipse. But
Warhammer probably a good example of really simple characters with simple motivations, manly stuff going on, finding sort of things through conflict. That's how I imagine that as someone completely on the outside of that.
At that point, I really thought he would have been a better protagonist, and people bashed me for that. They said, wow, why would you think that? You don't even know. Wait till you see what he does. Wait till you see what he does. So many people thought that what Griffith did during the eclipse makes it so that he would no longer be a good protagonist, which is very interesting. So let me ask you a question.
Is Griffin redeemable after the eclipse? Well, after the eclipse. Talking about the one where he becomes like the lead figure of God Hand or something like that. Not a very relatable protagonist, okay? Plus, that would be a complete shit. I don't even know where his premise. I'm not gonna go back and watch his little what was it? He's just ass mad that people Is it wrong that I wish Griffith was the MC of Berserk? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is wrong. But if you want to be wrong, it's not wrong. It's stupid. So that's why you got toward your ass. But shit, what else can I do about that?
Fox was brutal and hard to watch. If Griffith were able to make the world a better place and live his life every day, making up for what he did to them, ensuring that their deaths were not in vain, well, I, for one, would have certainly been able to forgive that. In fact, that sounds like a pretty awesome origin story, if you ask me. Unfortunately, though, that's not the case. There's one thing Griffith did that I can never forgive, and no matter what he does, he can never be redeemed for, and that was the rape of Casca. Casca had been nothing but a loyal supporter of Griffith.
Got it. So rape makes people irredeemable, but killing, murdering much of people, no biggie. They're redeemable. The logic of this just hurts my head. Okay. Murdering ordering the murderer, your own soldiers and troop. No, that's redeemable. Rape? No, rape, worst thing ever. I mean, it's pretty bad, but oh, God. Maybe this guy is an atheist, okay? It sort of goes along with it. You're dead. No heaven, no hell, blah, blah, blah. I'm not psychoanalyzing him or trying to figure out his motivations by this, but there is a certain thought pattern that comes along with this that makes this meme video actually worth going over.
Ever since the day she met him, she sacrificed her body, mind, soul, and sword to his cause. She loved him inside and out. She cared for him deeper than anyone, and she was willing to sacrifice her sanity and her happiness for him. She would have done anything for Griffith, and in exchange, she was abused and violated against her will, not only to torment her, but also to use her as a tool.
I think he also has the wrong perception of this. Oh, I mean, maybe he's right. He described it pretty well, and he's having a knee-jerk emotional reaction, which frankly doesn't come across as very objective. Sort of hard to tell when Griffith became Famios, I think, whatever his sort of stupid name gets in the God hand, where he sort of is coming from in that particular thing. Maybe he knew that this rape would enable his rebirth. I don't know. He's a god. He ascended to godhood, okay? There is a certain amount of predestination and destiny involved with these sort of stories that a lot of people don't consider, okay? Most people who have no religious or spiritual upbringing. So it's just a suspicion that he's probably not a very religious person.
To hurt guts. Sacrificing is one thing, but this was something else. This rape was not done in order to achieve a dream or accomplish something true. It was simply petty and evil to do to someone like.
You don't know that for sure, okay? What was the outcome of this rape? Okay, that enabled him to be reborn, okay? You can't say that maybe as soon as he ascended, or maybe his buddy God Hand, maybe Lilith, sexy thing was like, whisper the come hither. He was new. He's leader. You can't say this for sure. Okay. You don't know the motivations of any of these things. It's supernatural. It's not a pass. It's just.
Now I know what you're thinking. How can I justify murder, but then get so pissed off about rape?
Yeah.
I mean, at least Casca's still alive, right? And that's true to an extent,
okay, yeah.
But I think that murder can sometimes have a caveat. The only time rape is equivalent to murder is if the murder is just random and senseless. For example, if a serial killer.
Let's take a look. Kills 10 at Buffalo supermarket in a racist attack. President Biden called for a thorough investigation. Said there's no harbor for very interesting pick. A racist racist attack. Interesting. Is this a little bit of was subtext to this particular video, or just he thought he would bring this up? We'll see.
Just goes into a grocery store and starts shooting people he never met, who never did anything to him, then yes, that is completely evil, just as evil as rape, because the person is doing it for no reason.
Yeah, let's hope this is just let me not look too deep into this. So 18-year-old white gunman pled not guilty, left behind on manifesto. The subtext of this video, again, could be thinking too deeply on it, but I think some people don't look deeply enough.
Other than self-indulgence. Whereas if you see 3 brothers beat their 9-year-old sister's rapist to death, while it's terrible that they did that, you can at least go, well, I can see why they did it. It wasn't only because they wanted the pleasure of killing that person, but it's also because they wanted to avenge their sister. Yes, it's bad, but I never say it's anywhere near as bad as raping someone.
Okay, so on his hierarchy of values, he places rape above killing. Because maybe I have to. No, I'm not going to listen to it again. Let's just leave it. Let's leave it. I don't want to speculate anymore on that particular.
So, in short, rape and murder are both horrible crimes, but there are times where murder can at least be understood, whereas rape can never be understood. There is never a reason that can justify or defend rape because rape is always selfish.
Rape is always selfish. Yeah. When's okay? He justified murder. Okay. And you know what? When you get into the sort of biblical aspect, again, definitely not a believer. I would assume not a believer. Islam. Okay. Let me not bring up the sort of Muhammad, all his wives and their particular ages and the sort of ethics, modern day ethics, apply that to that. A lot of people will, and maybe I can see that. I can understand that. I try not to judge. Even the original Old Testament has a lot of issues with it in particular. But yeah, again, let me not do too much of that.
Rape is also extremely traumatic, as the story of Berserk displays on multiple occasions. Guts himself was raped as a child, and because of that has developed PTSD that makes it so he doesn't like when strangers touch him. He also has many flashbacks and nightmares of the rape, which shows it truly affected his mental, and for years.
Here. I'm glad he showed this particular scene. Is he going to try to see the sort of mirroring? And it wasn't even a rape that he's going to have an issue with. Oh God, that's the thing that just truly boggles the mind. Truly boggles the mind. I went back, barely even watched this. I'm like, yeah, okay. This sort of scene here that he's taking such issue with is almost a mirroring of this. In his traumatic thing, he strangles Casca. What happens preceding his dreaded, still not gotten into why what Guts did was so horrible in chapter 190. I'm sure he will. So you have the strangling. He did that when he was possessed by a spirit a few chapters before, and Casca sort of hated him for that. Okay, the animalistic, childlike state of Casca sort of took her back, hated him, and started running away from her. So he had to tie her up. Not great.
He breaks down in front of Casca, further exemplifying how horrifying this experience was to him. He screams at the top of his lungs, cuts his own arm off, trying to stop Griffith from putting Casca through what he went through, powerless to stop it. And his anger from this moment causes him to leave Casca alone in order to deal with his pain. Rape is a very prominent part of Berserk, and it is the cause of much of the character's turmoil, and Mura does a great job using rape in order to elicit a response that many other stories don't elicit.
Okay. I'm getting lost why so obviously admires the story for very weird reasons. It's just a certain aspect of it, a certain trauma within that Berserk seemingly enough does deal with. It's multi-layered. It's like an onion, okay? So he's acknowledging all that fun stuff.
And Guts, being the protagonist of the story, experiencing such a traumatic event as rape, I just could never imagine this character ever raping someone he cares about under any circumstance. I would never want to believe that he would.
But he doesn't, okay? He does not. He goes with the start.
Do that. Guts eventually develops a split personality, and that split personality is personified by a hound. The hound allows the audience a gateway into Guts's most evil and vile inner thoughts.
He's describing this as a split personality, not as a spiritual entity eroding his soul. Okay, as it's described within the book. Okay, he's not putting the context within the book. He's putting in psychological terms, and even on that, he's wrong. His depiction of that particular scene is sort of out of context. I hate that particular thing, but you know what? Let me explain what I mean. Okay. Maybe he's gonna actually go over, but the split personality bullshit. Fucking hell, there's supernatural entities sort of fucking with him. He's got a brand that's attracting ghosts and ghouls. Okay, his soul is being corrupted. Okay, there's really no hope. You just hoping to get relief from the sort of pain and struggling from the spiritual realm. And I guess he's seeing this as sort of a metaphor for the psychological condition, but I think that is flawed.
And for the most part, I love this addition to the story. It added nuance to Guts' character and made him more compelling. Even after the Hound suggests sacrificing Casca, I thought it was great. In all actuality, Mira was making a pretty good argument for Guts to be considering sacrificing Casca. She had lost her mind and was not recovering. She was a nuisance, and she's making it harder for Guts to get what he wants. Sacrificing her would solve all of his issues, and I could absolutely see Guts considering that.
No, God. That would be like the last straw. That would be him giving up on humanity, okay? That's turning to the dark side. That's some Vader ass shit there, okay? Yeah, the temptation's there. There's that evil little shoulder demon, metaphorically speaking, on his shoulder, tempting him to just have his primal lust way with it.
It's horrible, and I'd hate him for it. But again, it's totally understandable. Mira is putting Guts against what he wants versus what he needs, and making Guts have to decide between those things is perfect character writing, and I love that part. Even when Guts choked Casca, I didn't find it reprehensible. I thought it made sense that he was losing his patience with her and starting to resent her. Again, it's horrible, but totally understandable.
And Puck in the next, maybe he's gonna display this. Puck in the next scene, it's not your fault. The spirit was sort of possessing you at the time. What the hell? Okay, maybe he's gonna address
especially
that
after she had the nerve to embrace Griffith after all he did.
Nope.
I can only imagine how Guts must have felt in that moment. Even though she's not in her right state of mind, that still must have hurt a lot. Believe it or not, while I do love Casca, I was totally on Guts' side at this point in the story. It wasn't until chapter 190 where
Okay, completely invest. I was on his side. Okay, he's seeing this as the way he's viewing this story is a very weird dynamic. Like, Guts is the good guy up until this point, and I guess Casca's the victim. Okay, who's on his side? I just don't understand the terminology there. Okay, why were you on his side? They're two really fucked up individuals trying to deal with a fucked up curse that they're dealing with. Okay.
thing fell apart. Guts actually sexually assaults Casca and considers raping her. He bit her nipples so hard that they began to bleed. And this is where he lost me. This is where Mira ruined this character fundamentally, because now there is no room for redemption. No matter what Guts did, there was always room for redemption in the past. But this was the furthest Mira ever went. And I'm sorry, for me, I know what you're thinking. Term to be possessed, separate, outside, and himself out of it. Then wouldn't Griffith's sacrificing of the Hawks be classified as the same
avoid
thing?
that. I
The
might
Hound
have to
and the
age
God Hand
this.
made similar arguments to both characters, highlighting their deepest, darkest desires, and used those desires to justify them doing something horrible. Only difference being that Griffith was manipulated by 4 of the strongest demons in the world, while Guts is being manipulated by a dog.
Oh, by a dog, but what's dog backwards? God. Ha ha ha. Checkmate. Saint whatever. Saint Titchief, I guess. Whoa. This is why
There's really no way to justify it from any standpoint, because the most
yes, there is a way to justify it from a particular standpoint. Okay. There are spiritual elements eroding at his soul. Okay. It's not a split personality. It's a ever present sort of force. It's not exactly explained perfectly. It's him losing his mind from both a probably psychological and spiritual perspective. Remember, the reason well, for anyone who doesn't know, the demons Dragon Slayer. I was going to say Demon Slayer there for a moment, but the Dragon Slayer at one point gets described as pretty much he's cut down so many demons with it. It's become a supernatural force all on its own. Okay.
The moment you defend anything Guts did here, you also defend Griffith. And defending Griffith.
No, you don't. Okay. Guts pulled back from the horrible desire he had. And I can understand where he's coming from if you actually look at it. So the context from this, Guts fell asleep, constantly a battle with sleep deprived on multiple different levels. Another psychological component outside the supernatural elements within the story. But then you have Guts dealing with this particular matter here. Okay, she runs away while he's trying to sleep. Puck is the useless. Puck doesn't even really factor into this, which is a little bit interesting. Puck is almost like the good angel, while the dog, backwards God, I have to throw that in, backwards God thing, sort of he goes, look, she got caught, almost raped by a whole bunch of bandits, I believe. Okay, she kills them. Guts comes upon her with the sword. And this is coming back to this particular point that he brings up here. I'm trying to find the particular place that he brings up because I don't want to have to bring up anything else. And this is some serious weird shit here. Again, the sort of racist thing there is interesting. I'm trying to find where he's earlier on. Yeah, here. Okay. This is the first time they make love. Actually, do they make love in the tree? Oh, God, I should have double checked. But they definitely make love here. Okay. He freaks out, strangles her, spills things out. Okay. What preceded this particular instance here is that Guts comes back to the Band of the Hawk, the remnants of the Bands of the Hawk. Casca gets really angry, calls Guts out to this one place. She pretty much tries to stab him. Stab. She fails because she's not really feeling herself, and Guts is a badass there. And he takes a hit. She tries to kill herself because she's just so darn tired. Is it accidental or purposeful? I think it's purposeful, but that's up to the mind to really tell it. And then he saves her from jumping off. So Casca definitely owes her life to not Griffith. Maybe not, to Guts so many times, so many ways here. So he saves her. They go into the scene, strangles. She is very tender and understanding of this. Okay. But the chapter, I think it's technically 189 where she kills them. I can feel he sort of, before he doesn't see her as his Casca, but he has seen her in her warrior mode. Probably gives him some hope. There is a defense that maybe she's back to how she is. Okay, let me see if this sort of thing, she tried to attack me, let me try to replicate, not consciously, of course, because hell, Guts would never do anything on a conscious level. Very instinctual character. He goes for the kiss, goes same exact sort of down thing with the breast that happens in the scene. And I think this is like the 80s chapters. Forget the particular one. Yeah. Does owe her life. Yeah, okay. He does. Griffith does save Casca in the very beginning. How many times does Guts save Casca? From the lake, then again from the taking on the 100 men in the forest, letting her escape, and then saves her life again. I think Guts saved her life a little bit more, but maybe there's some other times that Griffith gave. And good point, gave her purpose. She lost her purpose in this moment, had to find a new purpose, was sort of find it until the eclipse, and things got wrecked and fucked overall. But yeah,
it shows it truly affected his mental, and for years, he breaks down in front of Casca, further exemplifying.
Oh yeah, jump ahead from this meme one. There's nothing. I mean, if this isn't a meme video, this is just some serious cope because people didn't like his Griffith take. Okay, so he has to denigrate Guts as a protagonist. Okay, try to be like, yeah, Griffith had a good read. Does he really do that again? I had to skip past because of all the nudity. I don't want to get too much shit for this. Let me bring up the transcript. That's always an easy way to avoid that. Okay, I'll have to put the restriction. It's rather stupid nudity level.
That Griffith was manipulated by 4 of the strong.
He's assuming Griffith was manipulated. Yeah, it is a possibility. He's playing apologia for Griffith because that's where his bias lies. Why? I don't know. Why Guts is being manipulated by a dog with a woman he loves, seeing her back in battle form, it might have given him some hope. Yeah, it's a Steel Man, and there is the dog element within that in particular. Okay.
Strongest demons in the world, while Guts is being manipulated by a dog.
Okay, this comparison doesn't. This just means you apologia for Griffith. Why Guts is unexcusable. That's why he's terrible. That's my impression. That's what I'm getting from this. I just found out the dislike thing is. I'm not going to dislike his opinion. It's a bad opinion.
There's really no way to justify it from any standpoint because the moment you defend anything Guts did here, you also defend Griffith. And defending Griffith.
No, yeah, you don't defend Griffith. I did actually defend Griffith. I did defend his act, but that's not from a moral standpoint. That's from a destiny standpoint. And I don't even know if that's true. Again, destiny, supernatural elements come into play. Seems to be stripped away from this reading at all. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I just think it's terribly reductive and very biased, very unobjective. Okay, very subjective reading.
It makes the story lose all of its tension because now it goes from having to get revenge on Griffith for doing something horrible to our quote unquote protagonist being a walking hypocrite.
No, ho, 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 ho. Yeah, ho, ho.
How can he ever face Griffith again after what he's done when what he did was no better? How can I?
Okay, this is why I hate the hypocritical act. No, what he did was not worse, okay? What? He didn't actually go through with the act, okay? There is that line. Oh, God. He's making it. He already said he almost. But I guess sexual assault is just as bad as getting God powers and going there. Why, in a moment of anguish with the woman, you maybe get a possible. See, foreplay. He didn't get consent. That's why he's wrong.
Root for him going forward when I don't believe in what he stands for and don't believe he has any form of moral superiority over the main antagonist of the story.
What does moral superiority have to do with anything? Okay, this is morally gray, grim, dark sort of material. There is no good people in this. Okay, you want a good person, go with DBZ or something much more simplistic. The best shonens, in my personal opinion, tend to have that moral gray element, the testing of the character. And yeah, it's darker. Berserk, dark stuff goes into dark territory. But is this how he's hinging it? That he was so close to doing the wrong thing, but he pulled back. But in your mind, sexual assault is equal to outright rape and murder. It's just insane to me.
I just don't get it. I've never been so confused by a decision by an author in my life. What made him think to add this? What made him think that this would make Guts any better of a character What made him think that this would make his story and themes stronger? What made him want to ruin all the wonderful and well done character development that
maybe because he's not he doesn't have the same perspective, which seems to be very social justice warrior. You had that sort of the murder thing that's sort of framed as the white gunner kills 10 people. Okay, then the apologia for the people, not apologia. Okay, I need to reframe. I need the sort of understanding that someone's sister was raped, so they killed this one guy. Understand? They had more justification. Maybe the racist guy. Yeah, racism is stupid. Racism is something, I believe, just stupid tribalism. Okay, stupidity. You don't know that 18-year-old white gunman. Okay, he could have been bullied at school. Does that justify what he does? No, it does not. You're using some sort of justification just because you know of the justification or think you know about the justification to sort of justify the actions of some people, but not justify sort of damn other people for things you do not know about. Okay, there's something called subtext, and I think I don't know if he understands it. Okay, subtext is hard.
that he had given this character to such a degree that it not only ruins that development and regresses him to an even worse position than
you're gonna go onto the horse going after her after a pretty Miss Blonde girl in particular. Yeah, he saves her. Okay, and probably good goon material for Vosh. Okay, I'm sure that's probably one of his favorite scenes in Berserk.
Where he was before. It also ruins the story and makes me not want to see Guts win because he's no better than the main antagonist of the story. I don't want to see either of them succeed. So then I ask, why even bother reading?
I don't want to see either one of them succeed. So why even bother reading? What's the point of getting emotionally engaged in a story where the characters are so reprehensible by your standards, your rules? There's a whole bunch of videos I could go over about anime. Maybe I will. The arguments, because I don't tear enough leftists, so maybe I should. The argument, I don't have it on my playlist, but I'll give it a bit. See how I think.
The point of getting emotionally engaged in a story where the characters are so reprehensible and foul to the point where I just want them to die.
I don't know. Should not be named.
But I love Serpico. Serpico is awesome. Best character for sure.
To be free and flexible.
Just because he's sort of a wiener. He loves the weenie, unrequited ancestral love. Very interesting fun fact. Okay, totally out of the ballpark, but I remember seeing this. Why slavery shouldn't be a trope? Something like that. Anime trope. Okay, let's see if I can find it. If I saved it somewhere. Let's put isekai slavery trope.
Neither opposed nor ethically examined.
On trial. Okay. Good little thing.
Slaves.
I don't like pure politics. So
it's the year of our Lord 2023, and Truck-kun has claimed the lives of countless Japanese teenage boys, and slavery has become an increasingly common trope in isekai. But why is it so prevalent? What are these shows trying to say about slavery? To figure this out, I'll have to do some isekai.
That a medieval world without all the technological advances of civilization backed up onto slavery. You know what actually really freed people from slavery? Especially in America? Technological advances. You do not need slaves, tons of slaves, to pick through all the seeds out of cotton. You had the cotton gin. Okay, technology is what reduces the load. As much horror that came out of the Industrial Revolution, child labor and all that shit. Okay, people make moral choices. They demonize other people, especially in a particular fantasy series where there's literally other races besides human, okay? All these sort of fantasies always have a particular aspect to 'em.
Research. Wait,
The Berserk one was
no, that can't be
laughable.
right. That can't be right.
This one, I don't even know what to say.
Oh, no, I get it. He's going to free all the slaves. He's going to free them, right?
She'll do. I'll take this one.
Oh my god.
Some cringy thing that I threw on because guts. Let's put isekai slavery trope on trial. Such a great thing by
Isekai
probably
anime
about-
on trial
from
for
a
how it
very
represents
serious
slavery.
person.
I might not have a law degree, but I have seen Legally Blonde and I have played Ace Attorney, so I'm pretty sure I've got this in the bag. Ladies,
Like, God, seriously, I hate this. Why even bring this up? Just joke after joke, but you
bullying, the sacred
reductive.
genre of isekai.
Slavery
Court
is bad,
is now in
yes.
session. As a heads up, I will be discussing some mature themes in this video, including brief references to sexual
of
assault.
course.
I'll
That
also be
seems to
spoiling the
be
plots of some
theme.
isekai, so proceed at your own risk. The idea of an isekai story featuring slavery was originally something that took off in light novels instead of on screen. However, after the light novel Rising of the Shield Hero received an anime adaptation in 2019, the trend took off. Because Shield Hero was a commercial success, similar
Definitely in the
isekai
modern
light
age.
novels also
No
received
need for
anime
slavery
adaptations,
nowadays.
and thus the trope was born. So here's a quick rundown.
Sure.
Now, Fumi, our hero, is a modern-day Japanese guy who's summoned to another world, along with Great Value Kirito, Dollar Store Link, and Ponytail Bro. Everyone thinks Naofumi is
I
lame
do
because
like the
shields are
nickname
boring.
she has for
Then
these
he's falsely
losers.
accused of rape by a princess. Everyone hates his
let's
guts
see.
and he gets kicked out of the palace. He still has to train to fight monsters, but no one will help him because his reputation
Oh, thank God. At least she's not going on about that. Okay. You figure from the tone of this, she would go on about this. Maybe she'll slip it in later, you know.
sucks, so he buys the cheapest slave his broke ass can find, a demi-human girl named Raftalia.
Yeah?
She has a magical branding on her chest which forces her to obey Naofumi's orders. Naofumi enlists his new slave to help him level up by killing monsters. Raftalia is terrified because she has PTSD from that one time when monsters killed her entire family, but Naofumi uses her slave brand to force her to fight against her will. Her PTSD is miraculously cured after one fight, and soon she and Naofumi are best buds, even though she's still
Oh, the PTSD. She just assumes mental illness. This seems to be a trend. Everyone's sort of using these psychological terms without understanding anything about them. Yes, she had a traumatic incident. Okay. Why are you assuming it's something like that? Okay. You're assuming the demi-human psychology is the same as humans also, which is already a particular bus. Yeah. Sheesh. How's it going? But yeah.
technically his property. The other heroes are pretty weirded out that Naofumi owns a slave,
He actually has a slave in his party? Man, how much lower is this guy gonna go?
and Ponytail
Yeah,
Guy
it's
challenges
perfect.
Naofumi to a duel, with the understanding that if he wins, Naofumi will have to free Raftalia.
Yeah, this guy is the one who wants to free slaves. Okay, Blondie boy is the one who wants to free the slaves. She already made fun of him. Okay, he's sort of like, oh, he's using a slave. Everyone looks down on him for the slave. So why do they do this particular sort of trope in this particular thing? And did it really cause an epidemic of this? Why is she using this as an example? I'm thinking ulterior motives, but I don't like to ascribe too much intent. Okay, this was rather hot. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything. There's a lot of other anime that use this particular trope. And this is not something, it's 9 months ago. Okay. So it's not like she doesn't have a clue. Maybe she's just using this as a salvo.
They fight, Naofumi almost wins,
Yeah.
but the princess cheats, and Raftalia is freed. Hooray! But then 5 minutes later, she decides that actually she really wants to be a slave again, and she asks to be rebranded so that she can become Naofumi's slave.
Oh God, this is such a horrible framing of this. Okay. How long have they been building up the bonds? Okay. Would this woman consider marriage to be slavery? Okay. This is the sort of oppression I get from these two relationship. Okay. It's almost like a wedding ring. They take off, they fuck him over, they take off the bond, okay. They forcibly take off that, and she chooses to enter this contract again. Okay. This is almost, it's not exactly a one-to-one parallel with Marriage, because yeah, it'd be a little bit weird considering she's a little girl, and I'm pretty sure there's Rule 34 and other hentai out there. But let's move past that particular matter. But yeah,
and they'll be together forever. The end. Well, that actually wasn't the end. It was only like 5 episodes, but I had to stop watching at this point because I could feel myself developing an ulcer. There was definitely some initial.
Oh God, cuddling of the American mind, Zoomer mind. I don't know. She can't take any. Why everyone's up in arms over the rise of the shield hero? Because they're little snowflakes. Like everyone was up in arms about Goblin Slayer. Now, I'm not going to say Goblin Slayer is a perfect series, but I understood that particular decision. Actually makes some sense if you go back to the origins and well, yada, 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 but that's besides the point. Let me not dig myself that hole.
Backlash online when the show first started airing, but ultimately it performed pretty well. It was rated highly, and it's been greenlit for not only a season 2, but now a season 3. But
I don't want to go back. I'm going to probably go back to this. Sorry. I always hate the weird sort of isekai from an isekai, and Shield Hero takes some weird leaps at some point. Maybe it levels out. Maybe I should go back to it, but I don't know. Freaking hell. If you heard a clink, that's because my headphone popped out. Let's hope that doesn't
enough
cause
about
problems.
Rising of the Shield
I have
Hero.
another one.
Let's see what came after.
Does it? So it's like
more and more isekai began following in the footsteps.
Lucifer, you're saying it's like a Voltron? Okay. They were weak by themselves, but when combined, their powers combined creates something good. Don't know. I don't know. We got the isekai expert in chat disputing you, Lucifer.
Steps of Shield Hero and incorporating slavery into their stories. But where Shield Hero didn't imply any romantic relationship between Naofumi and Raphtalia, future isekai did not hold themselves to the same standard. And pretty soon, isekai protagonists began collecting hot slave babes left and right like Pokemon to add to their harems. The more research I did for this video, the more these shows started to blur together, and I realized that they follow a pretty set formula. First, they always feature a male protagonist, usually a young adult or teenager, who is somehow transported into a fantasy world where slavery exists.
I wonder why. Okay. Do you want to see more female protagonists? You know, like Escaflowne, Shugi Yugi, you know, a lot of the isekai that came before the 2000s. Okay. And hell, we're getting more nowadays. Okay. And some of them are okay. Like Andrew Clark has one that he keeps on raving about. What is it? What is it? Fucking no. Some girl, but Ascendance of the Bookworm. I need to pick back up on that. It's an interesting concept.
The protagonist is in need of a new adventuring party member or a new hot babe for his harem, so he ends up deciding to buy a slave. The slave is always a young, conventionally attractive girl or woman. Now, to make sure our audience knows that our hero isn't a bad person for buying a slave, the protagonist will agonize over this decision.
Yes, it's the conflict of someone from the modern era sort of being confronted with the harsh realities of a medieval world, okay? But the moral dilemma, okay? Oh, it's just copium, okay? Just like, oh, just a fantasy. Okay, so male protagonists, a lot of people into these sort of anime are males. And again, you had female protagonists earlier on. But I think a lot of if Normalities is an example, someone who sort of a little bit butthurt that there's not more female-led anime. Fantasy Sadden, okay. Not all women, not all female YouTubers with a sort of left-leaning perspective. Slavery is bad, blah, blah, blah. Fantasy Sadden, no shit, Sherlock. That's an isekai. There are some isekais that actually break from that, but that's extremely hard to do. Slavery is socially acceptable. Not always. That's not every isekai, but every time. Of course, if you're going to have the slavery trope in an isekai, of course, slavery is socially acceptable, at least in the start area. There is some sort of gray area where you go into other places and there's some morally gray things. It depends, okay? If she's talking about generally, okay, need a new party member? Generally, okay. They're sort of forced. Shield Hero is a great example. No one's willing to party with him. He's sort of forced to get in a slave, and not even an expensive one, and train her. Girls only. No shit. Fan service, okay. Sex sells, okay. Yeah, and also the sort of a dynamic between male and female. And isekai has no matter how good of a isekai, the very core of isekai has an element of fantasy element. It's set in a fantasy modern world, blah blah blah.
Winded internal monologue about how he knows slavery is wrong, but he has no choice. And of course he's going to be a good slave owner because he'll treat his slave so much better than some other creep. After all, he's a good guy. Needless to say.
Okay, on the list of annoying Lucifer, I'm gonna vote a different name. Destiny's rape cage analogy. Perfect example, okay? Perfect moral dilemma. I'm not gonna go over it. If you know, you know, okay. This is a left-leaning guy who brought up this as a little bit of an edgy one, but you know that you're probably gonna be a good master, and you might even set them free if you get the chance. What's wrong with that?
Say things escalated pretty quickly, and we went from Hero buys a slave to round out his party to Hero decides to invest in full-blown sexual slavery.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, okay? Variety is the spice of life, okay? This guy, slavery is usually very blatantly not accepted by most of the countries. Yeah, good point. There is a certain black market element of it. And generally when it is socially acceptable within a country, that country is ethically dubious, okay? Or yeah, there is definitely some there's almost always ethical issues with at least the protagonist, and better isekai has a more complex matter. Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely a stigma in Rise of the Shield Hero. There is a stigma against slavery, as clearly shown by the Lance hero freeing the slave. Okay, saying it's socially acceptable is wrong. Legally and socially, two totally different things. Thank you for the comment, so I can correct that. Nice booba. Okay. Oh.
No, 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 no. Wait. Objection!
Oh, God. Okay. Cringy guy. Phoenix Wright. How long is she going to go on that? How long should I watch this? I might as well finish this out. Sometimes I skip out on particular things. I'm just skipping over some of this lame stuff here. Okay, back to the show, folks. So, lame
the slaves out instead of buying them. Let's take a look at some contenders. First, Jobless Reincarnation, in which the protagonist actually helps rescue some beast children who are being abducted by slave traders. This seems pretty wholesome. Until you remember that a few episodes ago, he was living with a wealthy family and being waited on hand and foot by enslaved beast people working as servants. Not only that, but the family's patriarch straight up has a fetish for beast people, and he is cheating on his wife and having sex with his beast people.
Oh, okay. Of course. Go straight from Rise of the Shield Hero. And she had no problem with the fake sexual accusation. Okay, I'm not going to poison the well with Me Too and thing. Yeah, okay. So it's the fetishization of the animals that is the problem. And how's this related to slavery? Are they slaves? I don't remember them being slaves. So,
working as servants. Not only that, but the family's patriarch straight up has a fetish for beast people, and he is cheating on his wife and having sex with his beast people servants. This behavior is
rather, from what I know of history and historical things. Now, it sort of varies within isekai and fantasy anime, but having a mistress or having a side hustle is actually, from my understanding, my limited understanding, seems to be common. There was arranged marriages. It depends on the relationship. For arranged marriages, which I can completely understand this, although his wife is hot, if I remember correctly.
Neither opposed nor ethically examined by the protagonist. Okay, so I guess we can cross that one off the list of good ones. What about Skeleton Knight?
Oh, so he doesn't. Why does that get crossed off the list? The fetish and cheating on his wife. Okay, you want him to judge? I think even if you go into the light novel, it gets much more complex, and he does question a couple of the things. But light novels are for losers. Sorry. Okay, it's not for losers. That's for the real diehard people out there. Okay, I hate the titles of how long they are. More power for the people who do read the light novels. Generally, they vary.
I guess we can cross that one off the list of good ones.
Yeah.
What about Skeleton Knight in Another World? Apparently, most of the plot centers on the hero trying to put an end to slavery. That should be pretty good. Let's give the first episode a try.
Okay, I did not watch this one. I think I might have read some of the manga.
This show is supposed to be like an adventure romp comedy, and yet it opens with one of the most graphic, upsetting rape scenes I've ever seen in anime, period.
The tone of this is just completely offhand. She does all this like Ace Attorney stuff, then JoJo meme, and then go on to this tirade about one of the worst rape scenes out there. What? It's just... Let's see. Not that big, Jose Cafe. Is that... I'm not going to judge too harshly. All opinions. I just don't like this opinion, okay? I don't think... Yeah, it's just how... And it's just probably expressive of a certain mindset that a certain segment has about anime. Okay.
I did give it a couple more episodes, and it did go deeper into the protagonist's journey of trying to put an end to the slave trade. But honestly, the opening was so upsetting, and the show's attitude towards sexual assault and mistreatment of women in general was just so icky that I could not possibly recommend the show to anyone.
Such a technical term. So icky. I could not recommend this. Try Goblin Slayer. Go ahead. Okay. Try Redo of Healer. Okay. At least it's the male who constantly gets sexual. Is that going to be your top tier? It has a slavery also. Is that going to come up? Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay. Maybe I'll give it a go. Sorry, the gimmicky thing turned me off of it in the beginning. So little time. Maybe I'll go back for it.
Another isekai called How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom also has a plotline about the protagonist wanting to abolish slavery. This show makes some interesting points about the more realistic barriers there are to abolishing slavery. For example, the hero, Soma, has to consider the economic and political implications of ending the slave trade.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. This is definitely worthy of consideration, okay? Definitely good points to bring up. How is she gonna fucking dismiss this?
Soma really emphasizes how he sees slavery as a violation of human rights and a total abomination. But he can't end it outright because he fears that he'll be putting the country on the brink of civil war if he does anything too drastic. Now, this seems really noble of him until you remember that one time 3 episodes ago when he defeats an enemy of his and literally turns her into his slave as a punishment. There's also this weirdly out of place scene where...
Okay, I haven't watched this, so I can't correct the context. Okay. Also, the term slavery. What sort of slavery? Go into it. Is it a magical sort of slavery or whatnot? Okay. How does he treat her? What are the circumstances? What are the contexts of this slavery? I would have pre-watched some of this stuff. Oh, free-written. I am not even through that. So far, it's turned out quite well, and I guess I'll finish this up talking about that.
The same woman who was just turned into a slave is talking about how she was whipped as a punishment, but it's played off as some kind of joke.
That woman! She whipped me like with a real whip! It didn't leave a mark on me, though the lashes burned my skin like fire!
The whip is love, and love must be accepted.
Okay, so we're over 3. So we...
Sorry, that pause is intentional. I am like, what? Okay, she got her 3 strikes out. Oh, yay, you've proven the slavery trope must be bad, okay? Your pseudo Ace Attorney trial crap there.
We've established that isekai has a bad habit of trying to turn the hero into a sympathetic slave owner, and even in isekai where the hero is opposed to slavery, the subject matter...
No, the slave owner thing is not what they're trying to do, okay? Slavery is a thing, okay? Is it needed within it? Rise of the Shield Hero? Yes, definitely. Didn't even consider it the skull in another world. Didn't even consider that. Hell, didn't they just throw the one series I already forgot about? Oh, yeah. I always fuck up the name Mushin, Jobless Reincarnated. I always fuck up the Japanese name for that particular one, and that's rather lame. But yeah, it's the intent is not to make a sympathetic slave owner. It's trying to put someone from the modern world back in a more medieval setting with a various amount of powers. Isekais always change with the amount of powers that they give their protagonists. Circumstances, okay. Sometimes there's slavery, sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's for just sex appeal, fan service, Harlem. The trope is used rather lazily in some things, but like Rise of the Shield Hero, the first one, well done. Okay. She managed to throw in Jobless Reincarnated, even though it doesn't actually deal too much with slavery, just for that virtue signal, like Mutu Tenside is bad. Yeah, see, that was my pronunciation of that.
Matter isn't always handled with nuance. I think it's about time to stop presenting evidence and start wrapping up this trial.
True. Close an argument. They didn't make a case, so how can you have a closing argument? This is piss poor evidence, totally dismissing something based off of slavery is bad, and this is just boys liking the sexy. Of course, boys like the sexy. Sex sells. You want? Oh God. Audience. No one ever considers that, okay? And there is degrees of acceptability within the genre, within any genre and any trope. Oh God.
Final and most important question of all. Who cares if there's slavery in isekai? Sure, slavery is morally wrong and a human rights violation and misogynistic and honestly pretty cringe.
Oh God. I'm gonna look at the transcript for this. There's just funny stuff. They want a better argument, they should bring up some of the god-awful mangas I've read. Just include slavery for no reason in the world that just treats them like normal people. Yeah, I've been there, done that with that particular thing. And I'm just like, okay, this is stupid. Many stupid. Hell, there's even some anime out there
cringe.
That is
but at the end of the day, anime is the most important question of all. Who cares if there's slavery in isekai? Sure, slavery is morally wrong.
Okay. Who cares if there's slavery in isekai? So this is her attempt at a counter argument. Okay. Yes, there's much better examples, much more. But you know, she has to get the big one. She has to hit up the Rise of the Shield Hero with this. Jobless Reincarnated, Mushin Tenside. For that points. I guess maybe she tried to be fair with the skeleton and a realistic thing, but then that falls flat because she's like, oh, look, deals with the realistic. But then he's a hypocrite, so none and void. I swear, I hate this hypocritical sort of line of attack. Okay. It might seem hypocritical arguments always hurt my head. Okay. Yeah. Someone can be a hypocrite and still be right, okay? That's besides the point. That does not negate the hypocritical argument, does not negate the argument that they make or the reasons that they go forward with it, okay? It's just a lame thing to generally deflect, in my opinion, okay?
And a human rights violation and misogynistic.
Human rights violation by modern day standards, okay? If they were in the modern day, I would agree. We have certain social standards and honestly pretty cringe, but at the end of the
Anime is fiction. It deals with a ton of potentially problematic or morally gray topics. It has violence and murder and brothers obsessed with their sisters and sisters obsessed with their brothers and whatever the heck this is. And worst of all, hand-holding. So why make a big
worst of all, hand-hold. She calls this trope cringe when most of this video, most of the jokes come off very flat. And okay, perfect for this particular stream. And I should really put this back up because I'm an idiot. and took it off for a bit. But I was looking at the transcript. You were listening to her. Okay, we didn't get the impressive visuals, but make a big stink about slavery. If I don't want to, okay, let's just listen to her.
Want to watch that one time I got reincarnated as a slave trader in another world? It's not like I'm being duct taped to a chair and forced to watch it. Nothing stopping me from turning it off and watching Pingu for the 432nd time.
Okay. Let's pass some of the stupid jokes. Probably Zoomer. But the way slavery is handled in Isekai, okay.
But the way slavery is handled in isekai is a symptom of a greater issue. And that issue is that the isekai genre has become oversaturated with generic, self-insert power fantasies made to sell as much manga or as many light novels as possible.
Yeah, you can say that about anything that gets popular, okay? It's not a good argument, okay? You can make an argument about particular things. You're making a genre argument, and it's a little bit weak. And what you might read, your reading is way off. The way slavery is handled in isekai is a symptom of a greater issue. So you're talking about a systemic problem. It sounds a little bit like a critical theory to me. Critical anime theory in this particular thing. It's a systemic problem. I like to lump everything into critical theory when they make their sort of systemic issue. And just for the record, critical theory isn't all bullshit. It has some valid points, but it tends to be reductive, and as a tool on its own, it's utterly and at a certain point it gets reductive, especially when you use it to ignore all the nuance, all the sort of context around it, and just hyper focus on what a particular group sees as a problem. Yeah, this is a guy sort of started off as a power fantasy. I've seen some good applications of it. Like I'm really disappointed. Wow. I'm disappointed that I'm Standing on a Million Lives sort of got such a shoddy little anime adaptation. I had potential to be something so much better. Okay. But the anime just sort of, oh God, sorry. That adaptation was just horrible. It got cucked, simped. I don't know. It got screwed in my personal opinion. But that's a lot of good things out there. Yeah. There's a lot of good things out there. I can still enjoy it, but I'm a manga reader. It's disappointing that anime viewers don't pick up on something because of a bad anime adaptation when the story is really good, or at least good enough. I'm Standing on a Million Lives still has this problem.
As much manga or as many light novels as possible. And because Shield Hero and other shows with slaves had some success, including slavery, became a part of the isekai formula. Consider the recently airing isekai In Another World with My Smartphone, a show
that no one thinks is anywhat smart. You're going to have a ton of trash, okay? Okay? You're going to have more trash than not, especially in this hyper industrialized society where people pump things out so much. Netflix, it's just content flood, okay? Don't judge a genre based on its worst examples, okay? Let the market fail them, okay? Or I guess in the case of I think some people would make some arguments for that oh God, I don't want to entertain those right now. I'm not going to do it. You can't make me.
Was so unbearably mid that the entire anime community, both Tumblr SJWs and 4chan degenerates alike, came together in solidarity to collectively agree that it is a shameless, soulless cash grab created for the sole purpose of pandering to the largest possible audience to make as much money as it can. Anime, just like many other industries,
Point.
But lately, it seems like we're lurching closer and closer to creative bankruptcy as anime studios crank out more painfully mediocre isekai harems to sell body pillows and light novels. And
okay, and when you actually reduce the sort of message, because you're triggered by some of the sort of sexual scenes within it, and totally reduce it, call them hypocrites or some other crap, it makes it even worse. You're not acknowledging the good traits within what is in the market, and you're pointing out what everyone else acknowledges. I just hate this fucking shit.
Increase their profit margins. For every gem with a unique art style, interesting premise, and compelling story, there are 10 cliche isekai harems. I know I'm not the only one who has preached this hot take, but I'd rather add my voice to the choir than sit back and watch generic isekai clone itself until my entire Crunchyroll suggestion page is filled with variations of the same show.
You don't like it, don't buy it. Simple as that, okay? Okay, Christ's sakes, okay? This seems like more a video, stupid, cringy video where you fucking treat it like it's your bitch, okay? You're treating this like it's your bitch, okay?
Repeated over and over again.
Have some stupid joke. Let me get the right buzzword salad for what I perceive as the audience, and let me put it on trial with Ace Attorney, okay?
Okay, so maybe none of the arguments I made today would actually hold up in a court of law.
Like you,
but I've done my best to present my case, and it's up to each member of the jury to decide whether they think slavery has a place in isekai. And by jury,
so stop trying to bait me, Lucifer. You're perfectly fine, okay? I don't want to subject you to my personality or else, and you have a wonderful life, okay? So stop lording it on Twitter, you jackass, okay? That it annoys me a little bit. You're like, oh, look at me kayaking in this beautiful scene. I'm like, I'm fucking stuck in the city. If there's any reason to dislike you, it's that, okay? You have, beautiful. But I like you, Lucifer, okay? And I like Val here.
I mean, anime viewers and consumers everywhere. Anime studios keep making generic slave-owning isekai.
It takes a lot for me to dislike it. I don't even hate this woman here, okay? Josie Cafe. I think she suffers from the same brain rot as a lot of other people out there, okay? Fair enough. You're a manly man.
So far, that has been what helps them turn a profit. But there are shows out there that do it better. Anime like Vinland Saga, a critically acclaimed show about Vikings, which spent basically its entire second season showing the dehumanizing and horrific cost of slavery. There's also the
Okay, and how does that particular epic S-tier level thing? You're trying to, not everything needs to be the most nuanced and beautiful. Like, if I compared everything to something like Berserk or Vinland Saga, I'd be disappointed most of the time, okay? Sometimes you have to accept crud for crud. A lot of people like trash shows. Oh, there's a whole anime out there about a VR guy who's obsessed with playing trash games, okay? There's something for everyone, okay? Someone's going to enjoy it. Doesn't make it good, okay? Like The Room. Everyone overused that argument. Same thing with other things. Is this for a purpose? If it fails, it fails, okay?
1999 anime Now and Then, Here and There, a haunting dystopian nightmare about child soldiers, which emphasizes the repercussions of war and is not for the faint of heart. Or there's a film credited as one of the greatest animated movies of all time due to its impressive voice cast, amazing animation, characters, cinematography, and a wonderful musical score.
Okay, stop puffing it up.
Like everything that
Prince of Egypt doesn't count as an anime.
But it's
No, it's not an anime. It's a 1998.
Oh, freaking hell. Ends with a stupid fucking Corey in the House reference or some crap like that. Okay. Oh, God. That was rather interesting video that sort of going through another video. It wasn't part of the list in general, but Guts is a terrible protagonist, was so bad. That reminded me of another thing I saw. And yeah, let me not go back to the solo leveling. That is quite an interesting series. I think for a manhwa adaptation, it's well done. I just don't think very highly of the manhwa. Okay. The skeleton who couldn't protect the dungeon, probably one of the better ones that I've seen. I think Tower of God also was pretty good. Again, another thing I need to get back onto. Okay, so yeah. Whole bunch of shit. Okay, I don't want to get back into scam ball reviews. His videos, why I will give him credit for being very entertaining of a man. Generally, there is some critical value in some of his videos. Let me just highlight this real quick before I move on to something that I can respond to. Like, this was okay. Him experiencing a rather really weird anime. This also, there's a lot of, oh God. I feel bad that this sort of fell apart. This series. I like the idea of this series. Oh god, I can't remember. It has a really weird German name. That's why I always forget it. Let's just take a quick look. Oh, the Yandere. Just I can do
In case
that?
that confused
Full
you,
screen?
this woman just shot rockets out of her ass, which were actually smoke bombs that summon a flying motorcycle.
Wow.
She was also wearing a cute anime girl dress. I think that's what made the 2010s beautiful. It was a time where you could have a girl shoot rockets out of her pooper and still have your anime become one of the most popular anime of all time. Almost everyone who watches anime knows of the show. It's marinated into pop culture like a pimple, while at the same time, every conflict has the easiest. The god of time and... Who else is Deus?
What? Did you fool me?
Let's get it.
Oh no, he's
Let's
gonna
ask.
go over all these
Full name, address.
crazy girls.
Good.
Crazy girls.
What did we just... Killing this guy end up revealing anything? The way I recall it, the guy... What did we
I'm
just...
just trying to remember the name of this.
If you were paying attention, you're wondering how Ninth, Udio, figured out that Piddles was the first diary holder. Excellent. The end credit scene actually explains this. The 4th and 9th were originally after the serial killer. The police guy even questions Piddles at the start of the story for that case. But then the serial killer was killed by Piddles, which tells them both that it had to be him. The writers now expect us to go, that is the terrorist next to one of the lead investigators. She just wear glasses. How in any fucking way does Piddles killing this guy end up revealing anything? The way I recall it.
Or maybe I took the wrong thing away from this. Okay, sorry. I was going through this particular thing and I got the wrong impression of that. Sorry, it was stupid moment there when drunk people create anime. Blah blah blah. A lot of stuff. Not really a fan of his content. A little bit funny. sorry. Yeah, Future Diary. I like it for what it is. I don't think it's great, but I see interest and value in it. It's an interesting concept. Like these are some of his better videos. These are the ones that got me into Skembali reviews, talking about some of these good mangas. Like this one, yeah, I would recommend his manga ones. As I said, I did a response to a couple of things. Well, mainly the Heaven's Lost Property was wild. But my response to that is like you're trying to kill your former self when you actually could enjoy some of this sort of cringy crap. Yeah, he has some other good stuff here. I'm sure there's something critically good, but I recommend his manga ones he needs to read. He has Joggin. One went a little bit south. Like these videos of his, and I'm sure this one's good. Oh, if anyone doesn't know, oh god, sorry for a side tangent. Let me see if it's back. God, I saw a tweet. Best guy ever. Hit the wrong button. There is a reason for this. Break. His channel's still down. He's at least got the uploads. I mean, this one amazed me, okay? Not going to play it because it's going to get the stream taken down. I am very disappointed by this. I found this just so amazing, okay? Because he literally just with his facial expression, I thought this was a brilliant video here. Just with his facial expressions, I think he's told so much about it. It's such a unique way to sort of get across. Then he does it with a part 2 where he gets a little bit more serious. Not as good. It's just, yeah, I thought I would share that particular thing, especially since his fucking channel got taken down. I saw someone tweet about it. I retweeted it. Really fucking a kick in the balls. Because, damn. That is extremely disappointing overall. Immense in the Shadow one? Wow. That's a very interesting one. Oh, sorry. I alternate. Manga. I alternate. I'm a switch hitter with the manga thing. Yay. No one saw that. Oh, yeah, I did have that hidden. Oh, let me finish this up. So let's start all the bad takes off with less bad takes, because you really can't have a horrible take with Freyrin. Okay. I don't know how you could have a horrible take with it. I found something I think might be a little bit weird, but I don't. Yeah, okay. This might be a fail, and I'm gonna end the stream off. This fun stream off with some Freyling talk. And what?
In this character,
Is this also?
Because I sure have been noticing her around for a while until I finally caved and started watching the show myself. I knew nothing about it apart from the fact that it was a fantasy anime. I love fantasy, so good enough for me to keep.
Okay, hate the voice. Hate the voice. Is this the VTuber voice? PNG tuber voice? I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. Maybe it'll be better if I even speed it up a little bit. Okay. I don't know if I can do this. Might have to get off of it.
That's being done a lot in the past, but I personally have never watched a show that started at the end of a story like this and thought that it was really different because if they've already accomplished their goal and removed the threat on the world, what is the point of the story? Where is it going to go from here? And the first episode kept on adding to these questions because as soon as the celebrations for the Demon King's defeat ends, our main character Freerin leaves. She's just like, all right, that was a good adventure, you guys. Thanks for those 10 years. I'm out of here, though. Might see you again in 50 years. I don't know. So yeah, 10 years is a long time for us anime enjoyers, but for an elf,
I'm
it's
at
very
episode
different.
14.
Freerin is one of those characters who looks young, but is probably actually hundreds, if not thousands of years old. Naturally, because of this, time does not mean much.
Well, at least there's original animation in here. The editing's good. The commentary's almost wasteful.
A grain of sand on the beach. It's barely anything. I don't know how she keeps track of the years.
14.
I mean, I'm over here still forgetting that we're in 2024. You know what I don't forget, though? To buy anime merch, because this video is sponsored by Zen.
Oh, God. Yeah, brain dead. This is brainless content, just farming.
Ren is left with the regret that she
Girl
didn't
with
spend more time
annoying
with these
voice.
characters, getting to know them more, and
Well
seeing this
edited.
just hurts so much. Freeran makes the decision to essentially retrace the steps that she and her party took together all those years ago with some new companions to appreciate the things that she didn't the first time, and travel to a location where the souls of those who have passed on are located. They could have opted for a slow, cozy story where nothing really happens, and she just keeps moving forward from place to place, looking for new, unusual
brain
spells
is
to learn
going
and
dumb.
helping out different townsfolk. There are times where she needs to pause her journey because of obstacles like a snowstorm, or something else stopping her from getting to the
No, Josh. Shit. I swear. Okay, this it simply is just ride the algorithm is my assumption here. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. There's a market for this sort of content.
If you've watched Freerun already, you know exactly which episodes I'm talking about. By this point, I was already invested in the story, and these episodes just keep you so on.
Okay. It's a cute thing. I don't want to really use this as background, but yeah, Freerun. So far, episode 14, I'm liking it. I was going into it thinking maybe it was going to be a little bit more like a One Punch Man with but this is the video that sort of gave me the suppression, and it probably gave me the wrong impression. Freeran, OP character done right. This is what probably gave me the oppression.
Freeran is an elf, stated to be over 1,000 years old, though it's never specified how much over 1,000 actually is. What we do know is that Croft, the only other elf we've seen so far in the anime, calls Freeran young, meaning that elves in this universe are capable of living for many thousands of years. She's also a mage, with a wealth of knowledge regarding anything to do with magic. It's difficult to miss the parallels between Freeran and Saitama from One Punch Man. They both have an apathetic outlook on life.
No, I did not see this. This is what gave me a really bad impression of a bad sort of a. I watched a little bit of this video. I'm like, huh, interesting. Do the sort of Saitama thing, but no, they don't. It's not the power that isolates freedom. Freeran. I'm gonna fuck up that name. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna fuck up that name. Please don't bully me too hard or mock me. It's the trope I'm known for, fucking up names, even simple ones, like manga or manga. But yeah,
albeit for different reasons. They both obsess over things that most would find mundane, and both can easily dispose of any creatures that stand in their way. Considering the manga is relatively new, I wouldn't be surprised if Kanehito Yamada took some inspiration from
female writer. No, I don't think she did.
With that said, they also have their differences.
I mean, she definitely capitalized on that, the apathetical character, but that's an old trope. You can get away with that. It's not really comedy folk. This is why I think that this comparison. I mean, what am I thinking? I really like it. The sort of displays the sort of the out of sequence thing, something to be commended. Not a lot of people would start at the end of the journey and do the flashback style there, okay? A lot of things, a lot of anime out there. A lot of things out there. But yeah, the comedy aspect, completely horrible.
There's a moment in episode 4 where Frieren and Fern are tasked with cleaning up a shoreline. While watching them slowly levitate around boat pieces, I found it hard to believe that Frieren didn't have a more efficient spell at her disposal that would make the work go more quickly. But I then realized that even if she did, it probably wouldn't occur to her to make use of it. Much of the first few episodes involve her learning to respect the time of those whose lifespans aren't quite as long as hers. Much like a teenager, Frieren feels no sense of urgency because the idea of her own mortality never really crosses her mind. She also physically looks like one, despite sounding and mostly behaving like a fully grown adult. With that said, it is refreshing to see the 1,000-year-old demon trope used on a character that doesn't look like a straight-up child.
Someone who hates demons also. Let me just skip to the next. Why she's not really OP?
Frieren shows little interest in combat magic, choosing instead to focus on spells with more practical uses. She'll nonchalantly skim over piercing spells like Zoltarok, but get excited at the prospect of a spell that can clean cooking utensils. This communicates to us that her vast amount of power isn't a result of her seeking it out relentlessly, but that it's simply a consequence of her longevity. She learned combat magic not because she really wanted to, but because she needs to be able to protect herself to some extent on long journeys, and she might as well add those spells to her ever-growing collection. Frieren is not OP because...
Did this guy even watch this whole thing? I'm not even through the whole series, and I know... well, I guess it's not technical, but... Should I say... She's as powerful... She learned it because she hates demons, okay? She hates demons, okay? Is he not going to bring up her hatred of demons? Okay, that's sort of important here. Okay, maybe it's not part of his argument, and maybe it's not fair to bring it up. But
she has an endless amount of power, but because she has a virtually endless amount of time in which to learn new spells and build up her pool of mana. This opens her up to certain vulnerabilities. If the plot ever...
Oh, God. It's just... I mean, it's clear that she's sort of gotten apathetic, and there's just so much I don't want to spoil. Frieren, and he's just getting some things. His reading of this is really weird. Okay, after watching the show, I can understand. Okay, I can understand why you can have this perspective, but she's trying to love magic again. In the if you go back to the beginning, spoilers, guys, spoilers. She said she really likes magic to her magic.
Required her to
go back to the past, okay? And as she starts to sort of train to fight the demons, she starts to lose her appreciation of magic. Her seeking out all these little magical things is the way to learn to love magic again. Because her teacher tells her it's about combat, okay? She taught her so much combat, how to fight demons, that she sort of lost the plot with how she feels about magic. Okay, and it's just weird framing.
Against another elf significantly older than her, for example, it's safe to say she would have a hard time. Fortunately for her, elves are hard to come by due to them having almost no drive.
Always weird.
I imagine the elves in Lord of the Rings share this asexual quality, but I'm not enough of a fan to know the canon, so feel free to correct me on that. Frieren even states herself that she's been bested in battle on 11 different occasions.
I like Gate to a certain extent, but God, let me not bring it up. I'm gonna hurt myself.
Centuries. She was defeated 4 times by demons, once by another elf, and surprisingly 6 times at the hands of human mages. It can be extrapolated that this is because Frieren often has no need to strategize, relying instead on her sheer amount of experience to get her through most battles. She can still be defeated by opponents even if they have a significantly lower amount of mana.
Is this created by AI? I just don't understand. Oh, well, they're very simple. Maybe it is created by AI. Okay. It's just, oh God, this is...
magic, but only priests can heal poisons and lift curses. Income sign. Frieren's title of overpowered is only surface level in the sense that she could probably handle any other character in combat, but there are still exceptions and other variables at play.
Like what? Sorry, this is just hurting me.
It's not a controversial opinion that overpowered characters in fiction are really boring unless you can give them some sort of handicap. There are other ways to handle an OP character, such as sealing them away for a non-specific amount of time, or by deriving self-aware humor from them. Beyond Journey's End goes the handicap route, both in a literal sense and in the form of a personality flaw. The series is very unique for a fantasy shonen in that it's not a video game-themed isekai, and entire episodes will go by without there being any major conflict, with Frieren's relaxed attitude being reflected by the casual pace of the storytelling.
Sorry,
we're not rushing to get to the next boss fight because Frieren isn't. Yet action scenes manage to be just frequent.
Is the fact that this is so simplistic and so basic that it's just hurting. It's just sort of am I just a anime elitist? Am I just one of those people who's just like, or critical elitist? I don't even know. I don't know. Take care, Lucifer. Oh God.
It's enough to prevent you from feeling too bored by the amount of dialogue, and by each of them having a lot of payoff in the form of kick-ass animation. The magic system in Beyond Journey's End can be questionable at times, with Frieren conveniently having certain spells for plot reasons, while conveniently not having other spells also for plot reasons. As whimsical as this fantasy world is, the idea that Frieren, of all people, wouldn't already have a spell for locating lost items is absurd to me, but I'm getting off topic. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the first season of One Punch Man. It was a clever and comedic take on a trope that is all too common in the shonen genre, and it had what I felt to be a satisfying and appropriate conclusion. While watching season 2, I felt as dead inside as Saitama because the series no longer had anything interesting to say, and it ironically starts to become the very thing it was poking fun at in the first place.
What? Oh God, it was just a bad adaptation, okay? It still had things to say, went a little bit off the rails. I can see where he's coming from, okay? Just a really poor adaptation, okay? Sagamov is way better anyways. Artistically, yeah. I don't know. It is comparable, okay?
I can see Beyond Journey's End having multiple seasons because it's not about power levels. It's about the passage of time, nostalgia, and regret. It just happens to contain an OP character. You don't see the extent of Frieren's power until we're 10 episodes in, and even then, the fight ends rather abruptly without her having to do anything directly. There's still an appropriate payoff equal to what was being built up the entire episode, but it serves to remind us that epic battles aren't really why we're here. The plot focuses more on character development and dynamics rather than who would beat who in a fight, and there was already a lot of action in the previous episode anyways. Feats of strength, such as Frieren having a stupid amount of mana, isn't needed to progress the story being told. It's not essential for the trip, just nice to have, like an extra.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, this is just so bare basic. I don't even know what to do with this particular take here. Okay, let's just see if I didn't pick the best videos, because the best videos probably aren't great. You got the plot summary, and I want to talk a little bit about Frieren, maybe my reading of it in particular. Because frankly, I think Frieren, or however you say that name, again, mock me in the comments anywhere for my mispronunciation of anything. I find it funny. But yeah, he definitely does take some risk, but I'm a fan of Memento, where it goes back and forth. Yeah, two types of characters. But yeah, it just baffles me in general. Frieren, yeah, I can see why someone would make that comparison to apathy, but you don't really get any character development in freaking One Punch Man. I guess you get a little bit here and there, but it's more like a meme perspective, and it's also, it sometimes throws away the sort of humor there. Oh God, why did I pick this? I just remembered, why did I put this on the list? It's another meme video about Frieren. Okay, let's do it anyways. And I should unmute it.
Here? Jesus, like trying to impress a wooden plank. So she tells them that in 50 years' time, she'll come back and bring him to a place with a much better view. And if that sounds unrealistic, good. Now you understand my dating life. But it's not impossible. And 50 years later, Frieren returns to the capital, astonished to see a shriveled up Himmel, a less shriveled up Heiter.
Okay. I'm going to just use this as background, maybe once it gets a little bit better. But yeah, this is definitely a very great device to use the passage of time to start off the series with. Brilliant maneuver overall. I don't know if that was the main, if this is I should look into it. And I do like his particular perspective on this, so unmuted this.
Louder. Wasn't she a part of his team? I can't believe she reduced a heartless witch. Why would someone be so crying? You've known this person for 10 years of your life. Why are you echoes around the room? And this is where the anime got to me. Not from the funeral, not from the verbal abuse, but from Heiter and Aizen sticking up for their friend. They see their comrade, someone who they've been with for 10 years, being ridiculed, harassed even. And they stand up for her, saying, what about us? We're not crying either, as Heiter does his iconic laugh. Why do they do that? Because to them, they shared a once-in-a-lifetime experience with this girl, spent a large amount of their lifespan getting to know her and see her as a significant part.
Why are they hating on the female elf? Probably other tribalism. I don't know why they're not hating on the dwarf. Yeah, it brings up a very valid point. And that gets to him. I think it's just something that affects her more. See, this is the moment, okay?
memories. And in order
better know and understand you.
as I said,
why they focus on the insults against her? That is a good question. Maybe it's even no, it's not a plot hole. Okay, but it's from her perspective and probably hating on the very dull, like emotionless one. And at least the one's a dwarf. You can't tell his expression. Other guy's always smiling. The priest seems like a weird point, but it is utilized in a good way to demonstrate it.
Isn't about adventures, but about memories. And in order to preserve those memories, to get to know her comrades better, Frieren retraces the steps of her adventure all the way back to the Demon King's castle, slowly, joyously, and sometimes painfully remembering each and every moment and mistake she made along the way. I saw a couple of videos saying this anime made them cry and it brought tears to their eyes. Personally, I'm no bitch, so the only thing to make me cry is Your Name, and that list ain't going any longer.
Oh God, Your Name made him cry. Lame. Okay, had some admirable qualities about it. Yeah, the sort of slow pacing. I mean, there's definitely some areas where I thought definitely the animation was shoddy in one area. Pacing, I could have definitely say the pacing in one episode seemed extremely off, but that's is big point. Overall, so far, solid show. It's just a matter of how they sort of execute it. I'm to a point where all the big boys are together, and we'll see how it sort of integrates the current party with the previous party and how it sort of affects, because she's going on this journey because she regrets that she never got to know these people. She doesn't feel she knows. And I'm wondering where her journey actually ends. Okay. Not a lot of animes, a lot of isekai, a lot of fantasy goes with the premise of slaying the Demon King. There's also some particular issues around the series, how the demons are portrayed. It's very binary. All demons are bad. So it had me question that sort of dichotomy when it went into. And let's see if he has bad stuff to say. Probably, maybe.
With small trinkets and spells. That's basically what Frieren does. Visit a town, help out, and collect use of spells. In my field, we call that NPC behavior.
We call it Pinhead. Ice cream so good. Yum yum. Believe it.
Similar to time and my poops. The pace of the show passes slowly but surely. And I actually like that. It gives you more than enough time to look around and explore the seemingly vast world that Frieren and the others live in. Like, what the fuck is a solar dragon? And why does it have a book that can see through clothes? I don't know. Pretty weird. I might know a guy though. I know this anime is not classified as an isekai, but they share almost exactly the same settings and plotline. Isekai is just fantasy with IRL roleplay. Hence, I think Frieren takes the weakest part of any isekai. You know, all of it, but especially the world building and characters, and really
all of the isekai. Fuck off. Okay. The reductionist attitude, but I'm not going to get something serious from most of these comical ones. They'll go with the low blows.
Takes that to the next level. There are glorious landscape shots littered throughout this anime. It's so good you can take a screenshot, save it, crop out the part where it shows where you pirated it from, put it in a frame, and stick it in your bedroom. It's that.
Yeah.
And B, the animation. Madhouse is an incredibly massive anime. Please surprised that the animation for Frieren is as clean as my aim in the. It's really cool to see the. Like for Death Note, they got that classic early 2000s anime aesthetic with the.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually go over my Death Note hot take. I hinted at that. Let me use this as a chance. Hot take, Death Note, real quick. Didn't get enough people to really argue against this. Should have brought this up earlier when there was more people, but here it goes. Okay, let me get to the Death Note. Let me there, the perfect scene. Okay. Death Note hot take. What the fuck was maybe I shouldn't curse, but I did it. Not gonna regret it. Okay. The real thing is, why was Light such a dumbass to fall for freaking L's trap when he does? Okay. I know for plot convenience, that's why he was that stupid to just fall for it. But there's nothing within Light's character displayed in the show that would make him think, that would make the audience think that Light would just be provoked by this detective hunting him. There's nothing to do it. But the other flip side of that is of L sort of a, it's L, right? Yeah. L the detective. Okay. There's a whole bunch of MYZ, MUQ. I can't even get the alphabet right at this point. Why did It was. I know why it's done. Okay, why did he try to call him out? Why didn't he do the same exact scenario by faking a crime happening? Okay, and then airing that in different time zones. Okay, why not do that instead? It would be more character consistent for Light to be like, oh, I've seen this crime on live TV. Here's the criminal's name. Let me just write this in my death note. He dies. But instead, they have to do some grand gesture. And that's a lot of my problems with Death Note. Great anime. Overall, solid series. Power tripping. Yeah, but it just comes out of nowhere. Yeah, they call him God. Okay, but again, why did the detective L think that this was the most efficient plan for capturing Light just by calling him out? Okay, I understand the artistic aspect of it to show that he has a big ego, and the first guy who calls him out gets the Death Note. Okay, I understand the artistic appeal. It just bothers me on a logical level. It doesn't. It takes it down a few points, in my opinion. Probably would be God tier if it wasn't for some of those particular moments. Oh, definitely after that. Okay. Even the sort of a whole weird game with Misal and Light forgetting and being locked up, I think that was a little bit overblown in a lot of ways. And definitely towards the end part, it's like, what the fuck's going on? You're just dragging out. Okay. I teased that. That's my hot take for Death Note. Not too big. Okay. It's just some weird things that I think particular parts could have made much more logical sense. They did it for cool artistic he calling me out, let me kill him, big battle. Fair enough. It just bothers me on a personal level. But yeah, I thought I'll put that out there.
Anime aesthetic with the big eyes and the overly detailed hair and shit. While in Hunter x Hunter, they still keep the spirit of that, but now with more simplified lines and overall lighter strokes. One Punch Man looks like it came straight out of the manga, and Frieren looks like it came straight out of a painting. I really like that it has a level of softness to it, almost invoke.
Yeah, Madhouse, good. Okay, is this what we're gonna get? Not total trash. Don't like this particular style. Oh, geez. It's always so hard to figure out how to exactly engage with a particular anime and talk about it. So I understand the difficulties that these other YouTubers are having with their video. Frieren, definitely hard to engage with. You want to find a comparison, so I understand the person wanting to compare it to One Punch Man. I think it's a flaw. I think there is a certain element of One Punch Man that is within there, but I don't think that's unique to One Punch Man. And it's not utilized in any of the way One Punch Man utilizes it. Hell, I'm seeing some of the sort of things that I think does actually go with it. Like a Full Metal Brother Alchemist, okay? I saw that there. There's that. Okay. Not quite sure. Is that for did they redoing? Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist. That particular thing there. Let me pull this up. I'm using this for context, but I will get to it. Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, definitely utilizes. He probably would be considered similar with his OP power. I just don't think there's a good comparison for Frieren. Okay, it's a really good thing that breaks the mold. Comparing it to Isekai is a little bit lame, but let me not try to gauge this. Try to form my thoughts after this one.
A younger self. When I could turn on just about any anime and think it was the greatest thing I had ever seen. Even with incredibly popular, critically acclaimed shows, there's always that small, cynical part of me that always seems to find some kind of critique of what I'm watching. And it's depressing. Realistically, I'll never be able to revive that version of me when I could just turn on an anime, be completely unaware of any of its flaws, and just be swept away.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive...
God. Why? Guess she's not that ugly. Okay, still not the greatest thing.
Until I watched Frieren. Frieren is...
See, I can almost sympathize with him. I do hyperanalyze things when I watch it sometimes. once I get drunk or get into some sort of groove, and sometimes I can just turn my brain off. But it's really hard
to me. And I didn't even know it existed until just a few months ago. That's how powerful this anime was for me. At first glance, Frieren doesn't seem that special. Medieval fantasy anime are a dime a dozen nowadays, and it's hard for a lot of them to stand out. So then why is it exactly that Frieren has gone on to become the massive success that it is, pulling in a huge amount of viewers and garnering high critical praise across the board? Well, let's talk about it. Frieren began its life in April of 2020 as a series published in Weekly Shonen Sunday, the same magazine that published. Honestly, not even sure if that's actually their real names, honestly. I mean, this picture comes up when you search, but I'm not going to trust that. So in an attempt to keep my... talking about again? Oh, yeah. Baki Hakase to Robot Shonen. It's called that. Okay, that's what it's called. From what I can find, neither of these series were crazy popular or successful, but they did run long enough to allow Yamada to experiment and build up their skills. The culmination of that practice resulting in the masterpiece that is Frieren. If you've seen our Akira Toriyama video, then you might be aware of this quote from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure creator Hirohiko. Let's take Frieren. 10 years for us might as well be the length of any average day for her. She has seen so many people die within her lifetime, including her master who saved her from demons when she...
This is definitely a section I would want to see someone else's oppression. I mean, the background material... Go watch it yourself. Why is everyone obsessed with Frieren? Watch it, okay? I'm trying to use this springboard some ideas off and see if someone actually create a good sort of thing I can agree with. Doesn't mean I'm right. Okay. Subjective. Okay.
She was little. Because of this, early on in the series timeline, she tended to avoid forming any kind of connection with other people, preferring rather to live in solitude and stick to her own devices. Anyone reading this description of her would simply assume that her character is removed from society and maybe somewhat distant and aloof. And while we do see elements like these, what makes Frieren stand out as a character is all the small things we see about her. In a lot of ways, she's actually kind of immature for her vast age. She doesn't like getting up in the morning. Fern constantly has to fix her hair for her. She often gets stuck in mimic chests looking for new magic spells. She tried to give an 18-year-old a clothes-dissolving potion for his birthday. All you need to know is that the difference between a good writer and a great one is when you don't focus on the broad aspects of a character's personality, but the very small, minute details. Because in reality, people can't really be boiled down to 2 or 3 key defining traits. They're the sum of every life experience they've ever had up to that point. To put it in layman's terms, it's basically the difference between seeing your character as a pie chart and more so seeing them as a petri dish made up of hundreds and hundreds.
What's why do is this to pad out things? All these comparisons? Not a pie chart, a petri dish. Get to the goddamn point. And maybe I'm just impatient, okay? Get to the goddamn point and stop with all this stupid stuff. Does this make the video? Yeah, I'm nitpicking, okay? Small channel. Hell. Doing better than my ass, okay? But I'm all over the place.
The writer has already taken into account every footstep that character took to get to this moment. And what only adds to this is Frieren's flawless character designs from Tsukasa Abe. In an industry where creators feel obligated to tack on as many accessories and over-the-top design flourishes as possible, Frieren is much more well-balanced. No character feels like a messy amalgamation of design elements, but at the same time, every character is designed well enough to where they can all stick out from the crowd in their own way. And when combined with Frieren's immaculate character writing and development, you have a formula for...
This is just too much glazing for my liking. I genuinely agree if he would put out all the bluster. Very simplistic, straight to the point, easy to understand. Okay. You have a mystery with this girl. They set it up very well with the construction of the story, like Memento. Okay. Oh, yeah, I watched a little bit of that. It's a lot of fluff, but it was fun. It's just hard to get invested in because it's a lot of fluff, a lot of fun.
For a truly special series, which begs the question, how is a shonen series like Frieren able to balance out this level of quality in developing
shonen series? Fair enough. Maybe
so many of its characters. And the answer is that Frieren isn't your typical shonen. I just want to preface this by saying I love shonen anime, and I always have. Nothing I'm saying here is really an insult to shonen, more so an explanation of how Frieren is able to stand out in such a massive way. One of the key priorities in most shonen anime, especially the biggest one.
See, I might argue with it being a shonen. Why does everyone have to get hooked onto the genre? Okay, genre is important, but just because someone says something is a shonen. Okay, this hurts my head a little bit. Okay. Sorry. I'm not finding ones that sort of living up to my standard. Maybe I should make a video on Frieren that I think simple, straight to the point, that represents it rather well. Because there's a lot of ideas in here that I can respect with the Frieren. or whatever that name that I'm mispronouncing.
Fights in Frieren, at least in comparison to a lot of the bigger shonen series right now. And this could sound boring for anyone who's looking to get into Frieren, but this is actually its greatest strength. Without good characters, action and fights really don't mean much. The reason people are able to get invested in a character's
No, okay, this is very idealistic, okay? Why fundamentally I agree with this at the core. The more investment you put into a character, but the popularity of some things out there sort of disproves this idea. Okay. It's always better if you do it. But some people want actions over words. Okay. Exposition is sometimes not appreciated. Sometimes it's the back lore. It's people want to event like RPGs. Okay. Some people want to be able to create a backstory for these people. And there are hits or miss on that sort of a mystery background, the blank slate character. I'm not saying that's a perfect thing. Execute it well. It's fine. Okay.
Conflict is because of the character. A lightsaber fight is just that, a lightsaber fight. But when you put those lightsabers into the hands of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, suddenly it's no longer just a lightsaber fight. Story and characters is what gives conflict meaning, and Frieren understands this perfectly, so it
Okay, yeah, they build it up within the Star Wars, okay. But you get into something like Star Wars Vision, where you don't get much from some of these one-shots. Okay, I really liked a lot of the things in Star Wars Vision, some of the ideas. Some of it was just specular, like, what was it? I think Trigger had one that was just stupid with the two twins of the dark side, the Die Trek to Force. But the one I really appreciated was the one with just the samurai, the Ronin, like the Sith killer character. Okay, it was really simple. You didn't know much. But maybe that's comparing apples to oranges and I'm being nitpicky. And I'm trying to go on a tangent of why the new trilogy didn't work. I think that was a failed attempt at trying to get the audience to using Rey as a blank slate character as an audience surrogate, I believe is the particular term. But let me not get bogged down in that. My thoughts would be rather complex. Maybe I'll put them out at some point.
He emphasizes its action and battles and focuses its attention towards, well, just these characters interacting with each other. If the story was primarily...
In my defense, he brought up Star Wars first. I did nothing wrong by talking about it.
Concerned with getting us to the next battle and plot revelation as soon as possible, we wouldn't get the intricate details of each character that truly make them feel human, or elf, or demon, or dwarf. It doesn't matter. This development doesn't just apply to the characters, but it spills out to the world as well. One of the biggest benefits of having a protagonist that can live for thousands of years is that we as the viewer can see how these massive gaps of time can change the world as we know it. Not only can characters change over these gaps of time, but landscapes, towns, villages, even different groups and factions. And because Frieren is constantly traveling around, it never feels like we stay in one place for too long, unless it's for a very specific story reason. Every place Frieren travels to isn't just for a change of scenery either, because often each new locale presents the characters with some kind of interesting lore about the world that...
That's funny you bring that up. I actually would have gone with the sort of the books they decanonize, but I can understand the Knights of the Old Republic would have been an interesting sort of way to go. There's some conflict with the Gray Jedi. I like the idea of it, but I understand some of the arguments against it.
It serves as a challenge for the characters to overcome. And this is why Frieren's writing is so, well, perfect. Developing a world that feels ancient and natural is one thing. Being able to fill that world with interesting and unique characters is another thing. What truly makes a story mind-blowing, though, is when you do both of these things, not parallel to each other, but in conjunction with each other. The trials that the world naturally presents, testing the characters and allowing them to grow through it. It's this perfect harmony of character development and world building that allows Frieren to stand tall despite its de-emphasis on its battles. Though that is something I want to talk about. I've been saying that Frieren doesn't have a lot of battles, and that's true. It's not really what the series emphasizes. That being said, if you go into this anime thinking that the battles are going to be lacking, you've got another thing coming.
Okay. Get to a point where he's talking. Yeah, the battles are quite interesting. I like some of the logic behind it when it does. I want to think it's not really mind games-ish.
The fights in Frieren, to put it lightly, are savage, and what elevates them is not only the mind-melting animation quality that Madhouse is able to put out, but the way each character is able to stand out in terms of the way they conduct combat. Frieren's apprentice Fern, for example, is like a cute little machine gun turret of magic. She's only mastered the one basic offensive spell, Zoltrak, but can use that one spell so quickly and in such abundance that she can not only catch her opponent off guard, but completely overwhelm them. On the other hand, you have two characters like Kana and Lavina. Kana able to manipulate water, and Lavina able to manipulate ice. When on their own, they're pretty decent, but when together, they are a force to be.
Spoilers, guys, spoilers. But I'm fine with a little bit of spoilers.
Reckoned with. Then you have a character like Ubel, who can completely skip the step of actually understanding the mechanics and fundamentals of how a certain spell might work and copy it solely by understanding the feelings and personality of the one who originally used the spell. And then, of course, you have Frieren, who's just basically a little magical atom bomb. The battles of Frieren aren't treated so much like an afterthought as they are a special event, a fireworks culmination of character development and world building, tying all three of these elements together to make what is, well, my favorite current anime. But really, it's not even these three specific elements that push Frieren over the edge for me. What truly makes Frieren special, at least to me, is encapsulated in who I have to say is my favorite character in the entire series. That character being Himmel the hero.
I like how Himmel the hero comes off. I actually had a novel idea. I went with Hammond the hero. So I find that a little bit funny. But that's a little bit different. Kurt Hamill, like Mark Hamill. Yeah. I like Star Wars. Okay.
Himmel, to put it simply, represents everything that Frieren is about. It's well known at this point that Himmel dies in the very first episode of Frieren, and for a first-time viewer, this can seem a bit odd. After all, why should you care about the death of a character you know little to nothing about? But after his death occurs, something strange happens. Frieren starts to cry. A character who throughout the entire first episode is shown to be, at best, apathetic towards any kind of bonds that she forms with other people. As the show continues, episode after episode goes by, and we see more of Frieren's past adventures with Himmel. And as you see more and more of these flashbacks, you begin to feel something well up inside of your stomach. Something that feels like regret. The regret that you had someone in your life who you...
I really hate these fucking videos. Sorry. They push on the emotional buttons like fucking they're going to get output out. And maybe they do. Maybe this is why I'm failing with my channel. I don't take the emotional shit is all just annoys me. I mean, yes, it's you can the emotions are a very good factor within these stories, and I know why they're a pull. One of the things why I think Fallout 3 did successful is they created that sort of emotional bond with the father. A lot of the previous people like, oh, it's not really Fallout, but as a hook, a gimmick, it's really efficient to actually do that. Okay, have that emotional connection is a good way to sort of hook people in. And see, I'm trying to come to terms with how I feel about things. And maybe I did this too soon. I probably wasted too much time not watching the right particular videos. I'm wondering if I should even waste my time with a Frieren video, get out my thoughts. You know, there is a certain simplicity with this. And there are ways to analyze things from a sort of a emotional perspective, but I like it from a more artistic perspective, because Frieren, the artistic value of Frieren, it's the construction of it that I think is so simple. Like you brought up Himmel the hero. You're surprised that suddenly this aloof character you were just introduced to, and they killed off the main this hero in the first episode. You see she comes back 50-year-old. He's old. She regrets not ever getting to know him. And she goes on into this sort of journey. She still goes around and she gets tricked into taking an apprentice to sort of help open her up to the people around her. Okay. That's what I see. Her friend forced this apprentice on her, and that starts her on her understanding humans. Because her original master was definitely as damaged as her. I don't think it's about her sort of disconnecting from people. There's a lot of little elements within that are important. She's a long-lived race. That is an important aspect. To Your Eternity definitely touches on that particular matter in general. There's a lot of little elements, I think, weaved into this. And yeah, a lot of little elements that I could bring up that probably, finding the right words. Live stream isn't really the place for finding the right words. Yeah, it's always cool. But yeah, always a place. Thursday nights, trying to think my thoughts, create my videos on the download, trying to think about how to put it out there. But yeah, I think I should end this. But I'm saying these videos sort of suck, in my opinion. Okay. They get so many things right, but they seem to miss the sort of complex nature of something that I think is shaping up. I guess I should finish up the series, write some thoughts down. Who the hell knows? Okay, but I'm going to close this out for tonight. This has gotten to the Babel point, the Tower of Babel point of the stream. And it's nice to have a little chill session. Just throw back to anime, watch some silly videos. Some that I made more silly than they were, and some were freaking I can't take serious at face value. But take everything as its own. Remember, you don't really need... It's just opinions on the internet. If we disagree, cool. Let's talk it out. Okay, if you really have a problem, have some fun with it. Try to engage with it. Don't take anything too seriously. In media, yeah, there's plenty of things to be taken seriously and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to close this out. For everyone watching this now and the future, take care and have a good whatever time of day you're in. Peace out.